Hey you guys, so it's Friday, just hanging out with the baby, and yeah, wanted to read a little bit of the book I wrote to you guys. So this is related to one of the central conflicts. So little back, I know, girly. One of the main character or a side character is Smith Ingman. He's a philosophy and political science professor. He is also head of the journalism, the newspaper. And his protege, Christopher Irmeen Jackson, has been tasked to push for a secondary director for the upcoming Shakespeare festival, wherein the main character, Ryder Colson, is going to direct Henry IV Part 1 and Part 2. Smith Ingman burst through the door. "Where's Irmeen?" he shouted through gritted teeth, his tone implying an obscenity. His eyes scanned the editorial staff. Irmeen sat in the center, legs crossed and hands folded comfortably on his lap. "I told you not to print that piece," Ingman said, shaking a folded-up newspaper before slapping it on the table. "I spoke with Dodson. He takes a picture of every edition he's sent to print. Your article wasn't in it. How did it get there?" Irmeen had not expected that. He had been right not to trust Dodson. His intentionally vague smile wavered, but he did not move until he was sure control of himself and of the room was his. When enough of the surrounding group was looking at him, he spoke. "Simple. I felt justified in including my piece as is after the fact." Entitled "Preventing the Ends by Cutting Off the Means," Irmeen's article reasoned that because in hindsight one would not hesitate to kill the baby Adolf Hitler, they also should not hesitate to shut down the return of his ideas, and that these included the yet infant but latently dangerous Spring Shakespeare production, which, considering the Henry play's rationalization of colonialism, may have actually led to the European colonialism generally and Hitler specifically. "I know you did, which is why I told you to change it." In his reprimanding email, Ingman had called Irmeen's comparing Henry V to Hitler ridiculous and offensive, and ordered him to moderate his stance. However, reasoning that advocating for merely another director was not enough, and that extending free speech to viewpoints already proven to be catastrophically inhumane was even more ridiculous and offensive, Irmeen had ignored the email. Nonetheless, he had prepared himself for this moment. It was why he had gathered most of the other editors with him. Ingman would see that his time was past. Irmeen raised his chin to speak. "I'm sorry, but this is a newspaper, yes?" Ingman paused, took a breath, and leaned back against a drafting table, eyebrows raised. "See, unlike some who write mere hyperbole, no doubt to cover the fact that they are only here for the grade, just another line in their resumes, I actually believe in what I write." Irmeen turned his gaze to the others. He chuckled suddenly at the ironic thought that he must look like a patriarch surrounded by devotees. He did not dislike the feeling. Ingman, however, did not move. Irmeen had been prepared for Ingman to roll his eyes or protest or offer some other response. He had not expected an unblinking stare. "This isn't like you, Irmeen," Ingman said at length. "I've never heard you openly insult anyone, much less your peers. Speaking the truth is always an insult to someone." Ingman thought for a moment, slowly shaking his head as if not seeing or not wanting to see that the words were true. "But we are here to fight censorship," Irmeen continued before Ingman could speak, "not participate in it, even if that means disobeying a teacher who's supposed to be on the side of the free speech and the press." Ingman's eyes widened, but he maintained his cross-armed stance, saying nothing. After a few moments of looking at Irmeen, who after meeting the gaze for a moment shifted in his seat, despite knowing himself to be right, Ingman's nostrils flared and his eyes moved to the rest of the group. A few of them swayed in the silent tension. Most of them looked away or at Irmeen. Irmeen was glad he had warned them that this would happen, and that they had all agreed to walk out with him. The flickers of eyelashes filled Irmeen with a just pleasure. "You see, Professor Ingman," Irmeen extemporized into the prolonged silence, "we are not afraid to suffer for our craft, even if it means losing face or grades or even credit. We, as student journalists, are the bulwark and highest iteration of speech on this campus, and as much as you have been a mentor to me, to us, we will not allow even your old guard attitudes, one might even say," he paused for brief effect, your latent conservatism, to stifle what we believe is our duty to speak truth to power, whatever it might be. We are grateful to you and your generation for laying the groundwork for free speech on campus, but it is for us to complete it. We are its product, its heirs, its saviors, and you are either with us or against us. Somewhere during the speech, Eamonn had uncrossed his arms. He now supported himself on a desk, one arm braced straight, the other held behind his back. His lips remained tightly closed. However, when Irmeen alluded to the free speech movement, a nice touch, he thought, something strange had happened to Ingman's face. While his eyes narrowed and his brows grew stern and more focused, his jaw and white stubbled dimples began to soften, as if in prelude to a smile. It was not encouraging. Ingman spoke in a light, almost mocking tone. Well, obviously you know what you're doing. I should be proud to have taught you so well. Personally, if that's the kind of stuff you'll be putting out, I'd rather not be responsible for you from here on. Of course, only the Presidium, the newspaper, can use campus printing, and only the official newspaper will carry the university's endorsement. But if you're talking like that, I'm sure you already have your medium all lined up. Good luck. If a raucous laughter could have a tone of speech, Irmeen felt with a sudden chill that would be it. More abruptly than he had rehearsed, Irmeen stood and stepped toward the door, keeping his back as straight as possible. As planned, the group followed him, though to Irmeen's chagrin they hesitated, avoiding Eamonn's eyes. To the rest of you, Ingman said without turning, my door is always open, should you realize you've been misled. Keep in mind, I will still need to take attendance and grade what would have been your submissions, meaning if you follow through with this walkout, you'll receive zeros for the rest of the semester. But I'm sure Ingman already warned you about that before staging this little coup. Again, good luck. Even as he exited the room, Irmeen felt a shudder of doubt go through the group behind him. The bastard, he thought, trying to hold us hostage via grades. Irmeen took a breath to calm himself, just so long as the others stayed with him. He wiped his sweating palms on his jeans. It was not until he was at the end of the hall that Irmeen turned to address the group. All had followed. He smiled. He had won. Irmeen began in a high tone. Congratulations, friends. Now we all know what it's like to escape from what might have been, or had always been, indentured servitude. Jonas Templeton continued to draw. Unnoticed, he had listened to the exchange from his drafting table, channeling his reaction into his pencil. Angry as he felt on Ingman's behalf, it was not his place to speak. This was Ingman's fight, and he deserved the right to respond however he would. By the time Irmeen left, Jonas had broken 4 leads, but he had held his tongue. He waited another moment, steadily finishing a line. When Ingman did not move, he laid down his pencil, stood, and walked to Ingman. Crossing his arms as he leaned against a desk, Jonas said, "So what now, Professor?" The relaxed look Ingman had worn as the others exited had turned into a hard frown. The man focused on Jonas, a lift of his eyebrows asking if he too planned to leave. He motioned with his chin for Jonas to speak. "I'm not going anywhere, Smith. Sure, there are things you do that I disagree with, but..." Jonas waved his hand toward the door. "I'd never do that. That's just narcissism as far as I'm concerned, and they deserve whatever they get. You don't need me to insult you by saying I like it here, but I do. I always kind of wondered if you put me on comics because of my beliefs, but I'm proud of my work. I've made some good copy, and you were a big part of that. Whatever your motives, you made me a better journalist." Ingman looked down, pursing his lips. Jonas looked away, giving the man the privacy to deal with whatever he was going through. He doubted it was just about losing the editorial staff. Ingman really had not seen it coming, much less from his implicit protege. "I haven't given you enough credit, Jonas," Ingman said at length. "I thought once you caught your stride with the strip, I really did trust... Though once you caught your stride with the strip, I really did trust you with it. You always brought a bit of balance. I'm sorry I let you think I was somehow against you all this time. Don't mention it. It wasn't all that bad, and it made me better. And whatever they say, I know you're actually concerned with free speech and diversity of thought. I guess I should have sat in with you and Ryder more often." The man had seemed about to chuckle, but stopped, his eyes suddenly widening as they snapped to his copy of the paper on the table. "The article. I need to talk to Ryder." He looked at Jonas. "Theater. Want me to come with?" "No." The man turned to the door, snatching the paper from the table as one might pick up a weapon. "You have a retraction to write." The tone of contempt in Ingman's voice and the hard, grinless wink that accompanied it had the sound of a signature underscoring a contract. Okay, thanks for listening in. This was from Chapter 6 of Sacred Shadows and Latent Light, where a Shakespeare play breaks a campus apart. And this is the key scene where the campaign against it begins. So anyway, talk to you guys later. Have a fun time. And if you liked a little bit of that, order the book. It's also on Amazon. It's on Amazon Kindle and Kindle Unlimited. Okay, talk to you. Bye.